We are now live on YouTube.
Yep.
It's not coming up on mine.
Yeah, it's showing on mine.
Okay, we're definitely live.
It's definitely live. Hello.
You're not, Luca.
Yeah, I'm the only one who's not live, apparently. Hello, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this evening for Room 101 of Crime. We've got 10 people, including myself, who are going to be partaking. I'm not actually partaking because I don't think anything should go into Room 101. I'm a very nice person, you see. But I've been joined by 9 people who aren't going to be that. And the first 5 are here right now. We're going to go one by one. So first, Ruth Ware, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what your latest book is?
I'm Ruth Ware. My latest book is One by One. It's out this week. It's a snowy locked room mystery.
There you go. Craig Robertson, do you want to introduce yourself and say what your latest book is?
I am Craig Robertson. My latest book is Watch Him Die. It came out in June. It is half set in Glasgow, half set in Los Angeles, and totally good. Really quite good.
It's really quite good. I like that. That's a good way of describing it. Doug Johnston, welcome.
Oh, hello, I'm Doug, and my latest book came out in August. It was called The Big Chill. It was the second part of a trilogy about 3 women who have to run a funeral directors with private investigators.
Excellent. And then we have Kia Abdullah. Welcome.
Hi,
Kia.
everyone. I'm Kia. My last book, Truth Be Told, came out in September, the day that 590 other hardbacks came out. That's called Truth Be Told, and it's also quite good.
And lastly, it is the queen of crime herself. It is Val McDermid.
Hello, hello, hello. It's great to be here. My latest novel is Still Life, which came out in August and features Karen Pirrie, the head of the Historic Cases Unit in Scotland. The book takes us to Perthshire, to Ireland, to France, and of course to Edinburgh. And I've also just published a collection of short stories called Christmas is Murder, for all of you who are going to have to see your family at Christmas.
If only.
Yeah, if only. And finally, I'm Luca Vesti. My latest book came out 2 days ago. It's called The Game. Do you know what? It's literally the only book that I don't have behind me.
Never fear, Luca.
There you go. It's one.
Never fear.
Ah, Steve, Val.
Oh, look at that.
Just let me mum do it for me.
I'm not your road mum for nothing.
Right, so quickly, I'm going to say how this works. You can post comments on the stream below, just say hello, and you can and also vote on whether the chosen item or thing or object or concept goes into Room 101 that our writers choose. I'm going to go through, and I have it's the Brookside mug of doom. I have each writer's name in here, and I'm going to choose at random who's going to go first. They will choose either a book or non-book related thing that they want to go into Room 101. For those who don't know what Room 101 is, it's what is Room 101? Craig, you tell us actually.
Room 101 is the torture chamber within the Ministry of Love. And all bad things happen in there and end up in there. Courtesy of George Orwell. I believe. Val will keep me right because she knows much more about most things than me, but I believe that is correct.
Was he correct, Val?
Pretty much. The thing about Room 101 was that it was your own personal demon. You were confronted with the thing that you hated most. So if your particular fear was rats, then it was a room full of rats. If it was spiders, it was a room full of spiders. Evil.
Let's not get started on rats.
No.
We had that issue last week and I'm not over it yet.
Right, so I'm going to choose our first participant. I nearly said victim there, but this is definitely a nice thing that can happen. So the Brookside mug.
You need a drum roll.
Oh, I've got it. Okay, here, I can do that.
I've chosen our first name, and our first name is Craig.
Oh no, okay. I'm delighted to be going first. So tonight we're going to choose 2 bookish things going to Room 101 and 1 non-bookish. My non-book list will down to about a couple of hundred books, much more difficult. But I've decided my first bookish item to go in Room 101 will be weird character names. So I think we all of us know how difficult it is to come up with character names. It's a pain in the bum half the time. Mine tend to end up being either surnames of professional footballers or my next door neighbours. I killed off quite a few of my neighbours accidentally. But what? So it's tough. I know it's tough, but weird character names always throw me and pull me right out of the book, and I just can't be doing with it. And I think particularly if you might get away with one, like a weird surname or a weird first name. So for example, if your character's surname was Strike, that wouldn't be great. So you need to go something like John Strike. If you threw in something like, I don't know, Cormorant to go with it. I don't think, I immediately stop. I'll be honest, I'm sure Joe Rowling does not need my patronage, but I didn't read that book just because of the name. I was like, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do it. Weird names just freak me out. Weird names, people don't get murdered or commit murders. You hide under an ordinary name. I want weird names in room 101. That is my pitch.
So, I mean, is it also like, like names that like just are supposed to like kind of tell you something about the character, even though it kind of does take it out, like just off the top of my head, like a Max Wolf. Max Wolf, it's.
Yeah, you wouldn't mess with Max Wolf, would you?
Wouldn't.
I mean, I've done that. I'm guilty of that. So my photographer character was Tony Winter, because he was kind of dark side, and I now have regrets about that, but it's done. I can't change it now.
I feel personally attacked, Craig, because my most recent book has got lots of weird names in it because they're all supposed to be like that kind of person. So there's a tiger blue Esposito.
There's nothing weird about that at all.
You can't go back from this now.
The problem you sometimes get over which you have no control is sometimes we writers do the very generous thing of putting a character name up for auction, and you are stuck with whoever bids most at the auction. And a couple of times I've sat there looking at the names and thought, I don't know what to do with this character. But somehow you have to find a way to give them a place in the book that isn't just a one-liner of the cab stopped and Tiger Blue Esposito got out.
Well, also, especially if there's who's paid in a charity auction, you don't want to, make them like a paedophile or, like a terrible person of some kind. So you feel obliged to give them like a role, but not a role that's going to embarrass them.
Well, I've checked. I think sometimes it's wise to check. So my friend's wife, or she's a friend as well, been in an auction. So I checked with him if she minded being a murdered sex worker. And he said she would have no problem with it whatsoever. So that's what happened to it.
But sometimes somebody bids for a book and they've got a really good name. So years ago now, I had a marine biologist in Queensland in Australia bid to be a character in the book, and she's called Bronwyn Scott. And I made her a sort of really sharp defence lawyer in the next Tony Hill and Carol Jordan. And she's been in about 4 books since, so she totally got her money's worth.
I understand now why I've never won one of these auctions for having their character name, like having their name as a character name, because I think if a Luca Vesti just turned up, it's not even like you could pass that off as someone else. It's like, it's quite obvious who, but there has been names of other writers within other writers' books. Does that take you out as well, Craig?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I know that, I know I've featured in Michael Malone's book, I can't remember which one, but the line was, funny enough, I remember, was "Who the fuck is Craig Robertson?" was the line in his book. Now, I didn't know anything about this line until I found lots of people were sniggering about it. So there you go.
In one of my books, I had a dog called Rebus, who was slaughtered. Is that the same thing?
Yeah. I don't think it would take Freud to work that one out, Doug.
I'd quite like to find my name in a book. I think the closest I've come is Kaya in Where the Crawdads Sing. And I thought, well, it is Kaya. I can't pretend it's Kia, which is my name. But I think I'm waiting for the day.
Yeah,
get in one of Val's auctions and bid.
I'm not sure I can afford Val.
It's not the first person who said that. I have absolutely no objection to the fact that that Stieg Larsson mentioned me in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I'm really not bothered about the fact that Mikael Blomqvist was reading my book.
I think that's okay. It's when it's like Detective Ian Rankin would be a bit of a strange thing to read in the middle of another book. But I think I think the weird name thing is never really kind of has bothered me, because I've always thought I've got a weird name. You know, it's like when you think where I'm from, there ain't many of us around, and like, you know, so I've always kind of considered
Stand up for the weirdos.
Yeah, I quite like that. But if you want to tell us in the comments, I mean, I'm just looking for the comments to say hello to Tamir and Paul and Nick and my dad is there and my sister is there.
A big
Hi,
old
Lucas family.
The only time they get to see you, Luca, yeah?
Yeah, there literally is. It's because we usually do a weekly family quiz, and instead of this week, I'm doing this. So they're basically probably just coming on here just to see, you know, if I'm still alive, probably.
Some quick questions at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll say hello to Isaac, Leo, and Ezra. Tell them to go to bed because I'll be swearing very soon. So go to bed now.
Is anyone going to let Craig know that he's already swore, or should we just pretend he didn't?
Luca, you'd be okay as a character in a Scottish crime novel, Luca, because you could be the local Italian chip shop or ice cream van. You know, that would be fine. You'd fit right in there.
Or ice cream. Let's not get casually racist about it.
Ice cream, yeah.
Anne Cater says, I was an American alcoholic psychiatrist in one of Tammy Cohen's books.
Ooh.
She seems to be happy about it, though. I mean, like, an American alcoholic psychiatrist is not only a mouthful, but it's, you know, I think it's okay. I think
highbrow.
Oh, someone, Paul Gitcham says we should have mashup, so it'd be Luca McDermid, which, I mean, that is literally my plan, is to get adopted by Val. So, I mean,
Luca McDermid's okay, but Val Vesti really works. Wow,
Could be her porn name.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right, what do we do now?
When do we get to vote? Do we get to vote on Craig's 101?
I'm going to go one by one to say to you. I mean, and then the audience can do it in the comments as well. You say it should go into room 101 or it shouldn't. Weird character names in books. Ruth, would you put them into room 101?
I can't, because I'd have to put my latest book in. So I'm sorry, Craig. Purely self-interest, I'm saying no.
Doug, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they should definitely go in, not least because of the example you used of Cormoran Strike, which equally annoyed me just as much as it annoyed Craig.
Kia?
I think it should, yeah. It's just distracting. So I agree with Craig.
Thank you.
It's 2-1. And Val?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Craig. It can be annoying, and especially if you can't pronounce it. Stub your toe on it every time you come up to it.
So that's 3-1 on the panel. I'm seeing now, let's have a look at the comments. We are running on a delay, so it could be 4 minutes before we realise if anyone's even watching.
Someone just said they can't seem to send a message on the comments. But
you have to actually click the live chat. I should probably point this out. You actually click the live chat button on the video and it should come up then, because a couple of people have had issues with that. Keith B. Walters says yes, into room 101. Paul Gitcham says no, it would exclude Dickens.
And
I mean, like, I'm not
controversial.
I think this is one of those that's going to be controversial. I think it is going to be yes and no, because I think how many times when you're reading a book, I don't know about you, but if I read a book, like I finished a brilliant book yesterday, and I cannot tell you one single character's name in it. How many books do you remember the character names from anyway?
Cormoran Strike, we all remember that, don't we?
Martin Chuzzlewit. We all remember Martin Chuzzlewit, Nicholas Nickleby, and David Copperfield.
So yeah. So we've got a few more. We got.
It's been 100 years to remember those.
Do that again, Craig.
Oh.
Sue Douglas says no, keep weird names. My dad says yes, it should go in room 101. Anne Katie says no, I like Ruth's Topher character. Timmy says weird names are memorable, so no. Kay Miller says no, keep weird names. Send weird spellings to room 101. Weird spellings is a different thing. You know?
That's a variant on the theme. Anyway, it's not say it's decided it's going in. That's great. Hold on. Right next.
Yes, I think that's a 1, 2, 3. I think it's quite 50-50, but it's a no was winning on that one. I think on the audience. Yes, one on here. So it's 50-50. We'll make a.
I'll go with the professionals.
I'll go with the majority. The last one was no. It's not going in room 101. Next one out is Ruth.
Oh, okay. I think we're only going to get one each at this rate, aren't we? Because we've been arguing about it for so long. So I'm going to choose my favourite. I'm going to choose weird things made out of books. This is my book related one. So if you're on Facebook and you have a passing interest in books, i.e. you've maybe liked a few bookshop pages, or you follow a few publishers or whatever, you get inundated with these adverts that say perfect for the book lover in your life, and the ideal present for bookworms. And it's always things like an armchair that's been made out of copies of Dickens that have had the pages glued together and like a hole drilled through the middle and a steel rod put in to hold it all together, or like a lamp that's been created by drilling a massive hole through the center of a book, shoving a light bulb up it, and then electrifying the whole thing. And I just feel like people who like books, people who are bookworms, like to read books. This is a bit like saying, the perfect present for any cat lover, have a dead cat that's been made into a hand fan or something. It's destroying the thing that you're supposed to love. So this is what I would like to put into Room 101.
Have you seen Danielle Steele's desk?
Oh, okay. So I was actually going to talk about that because I do make an exemption for Danielle Steele, not least because she's Danielle Steele and can therefore do whatever she likes because she's, sold a gazillion books, but also because that's not a real book. It's not like she's had an enormous copy. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Danielle Steele's desk is 3 enormous, like 8-foot facsimile copies of her 3 most famous books in a stack, and she literally writes on the cover of the top one. But that is furniture that has been made to look a bit like a book, but I think furniture that is actually books. And actually I would go further. You don't even have to destroy the book. I feel the same way about those people who buy a country house and they want to have a library and they want it to look like a Victorian library. So they send off to buy, 48 meters of Morocco bound, gilded, leather bound books just so that it looks nice. And they have no intention of reading these. They're all like the decline and fall of the Roman Empire and stuff, and the things that no one would ever sit down and go, oh, this is a page turning read. It's literally just to have something in your house that looks like a book and makes you look like a bookworm, but without any intention of ever actually enjoying a book.
Okay, let's go to Val. What do you think about this? Furniture made out of books, things that are made out of books. What do you think about this?
I'm totally with Ruth on this one. It's an abhorrence.
Good.
Spawn of the devil. Books are for reading and for loving, and if they're no longer loved anymore, well, you can use them to prop up tables or insulate your house, but not to make furniture out of. That's just wrong.
That's the thing, because I don't mind it if books are pulped and stuff. Like, I understand they made into toilet paper and motorways and all that. That seems acceptable to me. It's this kind of fetishization at the same time as murdering them is weird.
I have to say, that my publisher in America used to be HarperCollins in America, and somebody told me that they have a warehouse in the Midwest where the furnace is fueled by returns. So books that get sent back from booksellers because they're not sold get fed into the furnace, and they keep the building warm in the winter and run the air conditioning in the summer. And I thought this was something that was just made up by somebody having a bitch about HarperCollins. And then some years later, I was talking to one of the warehouse guys at HarperCollins in Glasgow, and he said, no, he said, I've been to the warehouse, I've seen it, it's true.
It's practical, and books are very good carbon sinks, so I guess it's as long as you're replacing the trees, it's all green energy.
Kia, what do you think about this?
I'm with Val and Ruth on this. Absolutely. I've never seen a classy piece of furniture made out of books. I think it's tacky, and I think books are sacrosanct, and so you shouldn't be ripping them up to create monstrosities. So straight into Room 101, I think.
Comment from Paul Gitcham, who says apparently it voids the warranty on your Kindle, which is probably just not taking that.
Fair point.
Buying the Kindle covers and stuff like that, and I'm like, I feel wrong about doing that kind of thing. Anyway, Doug, what do you think about furniture made out of books?
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement. I mean, apart from anything else, can you imagine sitting in a book chair. Like, where would you put it in your house? It's going to look. I mean, it's going to look stupid, and two, it's going to be like really uncomfortable. You know, you're sort of shuffling your arse on like, you know, like a piece of Dickens or something like that. I don't understand it. But yeah, I don't understand that. Like, sort of exactly what Ruth was saying about books as kind of as like set dressing or whatever it is. Like, remember, in fact, look at when we played on that Sky Arts thing in Cheltenham, they had piles of books, all like fake books, and they were hanging down off like strings, and I couldn't get into my drum kit for banging them. And it was absolutely pointless. And then they had somebody coming along to actually hold them so they didn't like move about too much because they were obviously fake books. Anyway, yes, 100% agree.
Yeah, I agree. I was slightly in two minds until Ruth mentioned the Daniel Steele writing on a desk made a copy of one of her own books, which is just masturbation writ large. I'm afraid I have no time for that. That's just nonsense. Although I do have a book, I thought it was within arm's reach, that when it opens up is actually hollowed out, and it comes from Prohibition era America, so you could hide a bottle of hooch in it. So
that is cool.
If we can have an exception for that, then
definitely.
I agree.
Smuggling is fine. That's practical purpose.
If you want to start voting in the comments, some people have already, and I will say I have something somewhere. Where is it? What's up here? Hang on a sec.
Nice leisure pants.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The Star Wars ones.
Yep.
This is what I've got. This, have you seen? Can you see this?
That is actually pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
It's made out of my own book as well.
Okay, you get an exception for that.
So is this allowed? Because I'll throw it in the bin.
No, that's allowed. That can stay out. That's different. I would also like to add a little extension to those people on Instagram who turn their books around so that the spines are to the back of the wall, so that they can have a white room and the colours don't.
Just don't start me on that.
Yeah,
that's psychotic behaviour, is that? I mean, that's absolutely insanity.
that is people who don't read, so they don't need to know where their books are or what books they've got. I mean, that's just madness.
Whereas the rest of us do the opposite to that in bookshops. We're going to turn them around so they face out. So quite the opposite.
I mean, it's overwhelming. This, everyone's saying yes, it needs to go in. Dump the book furniture, especially those book folding things that I've just shown that my mum spent hours and hours on.
Whittling.
Sue Dougal doesn't like them things. Paul says 100% agree. Tamir says 100% yes. Emma Nicholas says, yeah, hate books that have all the pages folded over to look like a hedgehog. Again. Poor mother is somewhere crying in a corner now. Hours making that for me. Anne Kate said, the turned around books thing is ridiculous. Yes, it is. I also don't like the fake books that rich people put in their houses. You know, where they have like you try to take it out, it's just made of cardboard. They're just ridiculous.
Well, there's only one exception to that, is if you pull it and a secret door opens.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's
always cool.
Prohibition thing, definitely.
So that's 100%. That's going into room 101. The first one's gone in.
All right. Someone, and this might be applying to other. I've got a message from Alison Valentine saying she's tried a couple of times, can't send comments. I think she's going to send me a comment on here. Go for it, and I'll pass it on.
I think it
Don't
is
everybody do that, please.
Chat, because we're getting quite a few messages in, so it is. I think it's underneath the video. It's got like and share and things like that, and it'll say live chat as one of those buttons. If you click on that, it should come up.
Craig, just give your phone number out and get folk to text you.
Yeah.
Good thinking, Doug. You're always on top of things.
Right, next one.
999. Sorry.
Next one out to the Brookside Morgue. It's Val.
Okay. Well, my pet hate, and it has been one of my pet hates for very many years, is crime novels where the dogs and cats are the detectives. You know, where somebody's got a cat that solves the crime. They come in, they look at the scene of the crime, They figure out where they need to look for clues, and the whole thing becomes about what the cats and the dogs think. And sometimes the cats and the dogs talk to each other, which is just mental. I mean, I've had a lot of cats in my life, and I have to say the only thing any cat of mine would ever have thought on looking at a dead body was, how soon can I eat it? You know, I mean, animals are animals, and people are people. Cats and dogs are not detectives.
I've never read one of these books, Val.
Why would you?
Do they talk in the book, or is it just, do they just convey by means of animal sign language their deductions?
It depends. Some of them actually kind of talk to each other, and some of them convey by obviously the relationship they have with their owners. So the owners know that when the cat is like pointing its face that way and twitching its nose like that what it's saying is, look in that corner, there's an important clue there. Or here's a horrible person who's come into the room, so my fur is all standing on end and my ears are sticking out. You know, it's a nonsense.
What's that, lassie? Little Jimmy's down the well.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, exactly that. Cats and dogs solving crimes are ridiculous. Kangaroos and dolphins, that's okay.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah.
But cats and dogs is not.
No, it's just domestic pets solving murders. If that was the case, we wouldn't need a police force, would we?
No. I mean, there has been a couple of comments already from people who are just mentioning Scooby-Doo. It's Scooby-Doo.
Also, Wallace and Gromit, let's not forget. Gromit is the brains there.
Yeah, but I have to say, I'm sorry to break this to you, Ruth, but Gromit isn't real.
Even though neither of these books.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't believe that's how you broke it to us.
Also, I don't think Scooby-Doo actually solves the crimes, does he? He's usually he's peripheral at best, most of those things.
He's quite obstructive normally, I think. He's usually the one going out and having, eating Scooby snacks, isn't he?
But he will sometimes trip over things and pull somebody's mask off by accident and stuff like that.
I mean,
but that's okay.
Kia, have you ever read a cat mystery, a cat detective mystery?
I haven't, but I know that cozy crime, has its place, and it's got so many fans and it does really well. So I'm a little bit nervous about putting it into Room 101, just because I know that it's a whole very popular genre. So I think I'm going to have to disagree with the great Val, I'm afraid.
Oh, no. Are we going to bow to populism now? Well, just the great guy because he got voted in by most votes.
Fair point.
If you are in the comments, start voting now. I mean, I don't think you need to worry about cozy crime authors. We know how actually to kill people properly. They're just having, like tea and cakes is what I assume is what happens.
I did a panel at BoucherCon 2 years ago on duos, or duos as it was in the US. And the really genuinely lovely lady sitting next to me, her duo was a man and a dog canine thing. And the dog solved the crimes and she was reading from it. And I was really, I apologize because she might well be watching. I just had to sit and bite my tongue the whole time and try to keep my face as straight as possible because it's just not my thing.
I don't have an issue with cozy crime. There's a lot of really talented cozy crime writers, but I think the dogs and cats is a step too far.
Yeah. I think that's a completely separate genre. It's like just animal detectives. It's like, do you have a real big problem with Basil the Mouse Detective then?
Animals basically is it's like, I'm sorry, and I want to apologise profoundly to Vasim Khan, but even baby bloody elephants,
Oh, but baby Ganesh.
Is it just anthropomorphism generally that just...
Anthropomorphism generally, yeah. I mean, I think you've got noir, you've got cozy, and you've got stupidity.
So a couple of people have Lassie and Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, who was the first animal detective according to Anne. Sue wants to know, it says, you sound like you've read a few of these books, Val. Why?
Well, for a large chunk of the 1990s, I was a reviewer. So I had to read all sorts of things. And, I also still read a lot of debut novels. And to be frank, not many cats and dogs make it across the door these days. But I have come across a few in my time. And one or two of them have been written by people who really should know better. I remember when Rita Mae Brown was a sort of landmark in lesbian fiction, you know, not writing about cats and bloody dogs solving mysteries.
Danger Mouse was just Jack Frost in disguise, Colin Ward says. And Keith says, Luca, Val isn't going to read Inspector Mallard. No, you won't, will you? Mine and Steve Kavanagh's great Duck Detective series of novels that we've had in the works for 4 years that no one will read, no one will buy for some bizarre reason. We've been to some meetings, but no one ever took us on. If you want to start voting, I think it's pretty over. Yeah, there's a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 2 no's, but there's like quite a few yeses that are just screaming in here. I think it's only Keir. You're the only one who doesn't want to see them go into room 101. Everyone else is quite happy to see them go in.
Here comes the butler with the wine.
Oh, look at that. See, on principle, I'm with Val, but I've never read one of these, and now I kind of feel like I would like to before I send. And if I send it into room 101, then I'll never get the chance. So I think I'd have to read one before I made up my mind.
I have no desire to read one.
There's some things you just know without having to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to jump off a cliff to know that it's probably a bad idea.
There's probably a reason why I haven't read one up until now, but
I read a couple of pages for research purposes of one that had a drug sniffing cat called Gorgonzola, and it was as interesting as that sounds.
What was the research for?
Well, it's for my own little cat detective. No. Sorry, Matt. That's the next project. I was just to get a blurb off you, yeah.
We're finished with the Skelf women. It's going to be the cat women.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's going into room 101. It's not 100% record so far that everyone's gone to room 101, except Craig was on the cusp. Craig's at the door, just knocking, I think, was the outro at the end of
Was that change?
Next up, it is Doug.
Okay, so this might be more challenging. So I want to put into room 101 long books. Long books. And I might take some definition here. So long books for me is probably different from long books for anybody else. But they're the absolute bane of my life. I write quite short books. My last two have been long for me, which has been 316 pages was the longest one. So I write very short books. And I was a reviewer before I was an author. And the sight of like doorsteps arriving, which you had to review, it was just an absolute nightmare. And it's become a kind of, I think it's become a pandemic. I did some research. I got some stats. And there was a thing saying that on the New York Times bestseller list, the average length of a book was 320 pages in 1999, and it was 400 pages in 2014. So that's an increase of 25% in 15 years. It's gone up. There was a list of Booker Prize shortlisted ones, and in the 70s, the average length was 240 pages or something. I don't know why we've got into this mindset where we think that it has to be 300-400 pages minimum. 2 books recently brought this into focus, 2 very, very high profile books, one of them a crime novel, which were both over 900 pages. And I have read stuff by those authors, which I would suggest, humbly, that they could have done with a bit of an edit. Especially since one of them is a crime novel which has one plot. I don't think 944 pages is necessary for a crime novel with one plot, frankly. So that's why I want to put in room 101.
You see, yeah, I do have an issue with certain crime novels being too long. Usually because it means that there's far too many characters and I get confused very easily. But my favorite novel of all time is 1,200 pages long. And I could quite happily have taken another 800 pages. And I think it does work for some novels, but I think you're right. If there's just one plot and a series of characters, it probably doesn't need to be 900 pages long. But it is interesting though that you've come well prepared with stats, and you're making us all have to up our game. Is that we have grown more verbose? Ruth, do you feel like that's something that you've even considered when you're writing a book? How long it might be?
So my books always come in about, I always finish them about 90,000 words, and they're always about 100,000 words after the edit because I always add stuff in. And that, I don't know what that equates to in pages, actually. I can probably tell you. It's
about 360.
Yeah, it's about 350 thereabouts. So yeah, I don't like long books. I don't like the way they make, they're difficult to read in the bath. They're really heavy. They take ages. If you're blurbing them, you just sort of think, oh God, this is going to take me, massively long time. I don't know if I would put really long books in room 101 overall. I just think that if a book is 3 times as long as normal, it has to be 3 times as good as normal to justify the length, and most of them aren't. So
Craig, what do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I know why Doug agrees, because he can't be arsed writing more than about 65,000 words for each book. I've just seen a comment from Alison saying that to Doug, I take it you haven't read the Bible. I've seen lots of reasons to make me think that's true. One of my favourite authors is James Elroy. Loved his book, and when his books started going like that, I looked at them and thought, nah, it's too much. I'm not going to try and do it. They suddenly tripled in length. I thought, I'm out. Life's too short to read a book that long.
Yeah, I think I would refine this slightly and not just a blanket on long books, but on books that are badly edited. And I think the point that is the problem is when you get a 900-page book that hasn't been well edited, that hasn't had an editor going ruthlessly. This book needs to be cut by a third. That's where the problem arises. And I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet as well about the lack of editorial skills that's becoming the norm. That's become the norm in a lot of publishing houses, and I don't think young editors are necessarily trained as thoroughly as they used to be, and a lot of editors are scared about editing, particularly big name authors. They don't want to get into a ruck with a big name author. Personally, I'm delighted when my editor gets in about one of my books, because her job is to make it better. But a lot of authors don't seem to feel the same way. Either that or their editor's not doing the job properly. And I think that's the key problem.
And Kia, what do you think?
I think on one hand, a skilled author should be able to tell a story in about 350 pages. But that said, Donna Tartt's one of my favorite authors of all time. And so if we got rid of long books, we'd have to get rid of The Goldfinch and probably her other 2 books as well, which I think are probably over 400 pages, which according to Doug is a long book. So I'm going to say, please keep them.
Yeah, I'm with Kia. I would worry about the amount of books I would lose if they all went into room 101 that I have really enjoyed. I think if we could just throw bad editing into room 101, I think that might work better for me, because I think that's the issue, is that it's not a case of like every long book is a bad book. It's just most long books just haven't been edited well enough. And what if we just started half? See, this is what I don't understand. If you've got a massively long book, like a 700-page novel or an 800, 900, that to me is like, that's missed opportunity to have 2 different books out of it. You can just have part 1 and part 2. That's twice the money.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Whenever I read an enormously long book, I think, Jesus, do these authors not need to make a living? Because you could have written 2 books in the time and got 2 sets, because they don't give you twice the advance for writing a book that's twice as long. So,
Paul wants to know if you're not a Tom Clancy fan then, Doug.
He is correct. I am not a Tom Clancy fan.
Hope Tom's not watching. Sorry if you are.
Sorry, Tom. I mean, everyone's got. I'm slightly facetious because everyone's got examples of obviously really good like long books, and I do as well. But just the overwhelming majority, and actually, sometimes it's not just the fact that they're really stupidly long ones. It's just the fact that everything seems to be getting longer. Like that stat was that it's average now for 40 pages. It means that, and publishers seem to want that. Like a lot of the time, because I think they equate it with like value for money or like whatever, or they think the readers equate it with value for money. So you're getting this big chunky story where and they don't want to spend all that money on just 250 pages, whatever. But I would, I'm the total opposite. It's like it's the easier the better to read. Get it done, get it out of the way.
I have one small point to make here, which is a 900-page novel recently arrived in our house, which was recommended by Doug Johnson.
But I know. It's actually 1,000 pages, Val. But it's a graphic novel, kind of. So a lot of it is just weird pictures and text that's the size of a page. So you can literally go like that for like quite looks of it.
In the comments, Ann Cater says, as a reviewer and blogger, receiving lots of books. My postie agrees. Big fat books make my heart sink. Colin Sinclair, oh yes, agreed. There is an arrogance about it. Ooh. And yeah, as long as you can lift them, throw them into room 101 from Keith. I think I think it's quite overwhelming. I agree that there are a lot of badly edited or not at all edited books, and I think that will probably be what. And I don't think it's a kind of like a thing about badly editing. I think it's just sometimes it's people can get a bit too in love with what they've written, and it kind of, you don't kill your darlings, I think, is the issue here.
Yeah, there is a self-indulgence to long books. I mean, undoubtedly, I think.
And yeah, it seems. Yeah, Hilary Mantel's The Mirror and the Light is 882 pages. It could not have worked if it was shorter. What do you say about that one, Doug?
Well, I read an extract in The Guardian. I thought it was crap, so. And that was 1 page of The Guardian. That was enough for me.
And a 1,000-page graphic novel is a lot of colouring in, is the last comment on that. Overall, it is a yes to it going into room 101. That's another one going into room 101. Last name from the Brookside Cup
Last
is Kia.
but not least. Okay. So I'll go for the less controversial one. My bugbear is books that don't use speech marks for dialogue. I can't think of a single book that's been made better for this choice. It just makes it harder to read. I find myself rereading sentences to decipher what they mean. Sometimes the cadence of the sentence is wrong in my head because it doesn't have the dialogue tags. Talking about indulgence, I think it's really indulgent of authors to do this. One author, naming no names, who's quite famous for this, said they don't really recognize the function of speech marks in novels. Well, the function is to make it easier to read. I just think it's a really cheap way to emulate style. And I think the worst thing is when literary critics kind of try and glean meaning from it. You know, I've read that it's an expression of intimacy and trust with the reader. And I'm thinking, no, it's actually contempt for the reader, I think. And I think there's a level of kind of emperor's new clothes to it. So somebody says, oh, you know, this is a really worthy, intelligent, stylistic decision, and everybody else doesn't want to come across as feeble-minded. So they're like, oh, yes, that's you know, really brilliant. So I would put books with no dialogue tags in room 101.
I think this is interesting. I think I've only ever read one book where I've noticed, and that was The Road. The Cormac.
Yeah, that's one, yeah.
And yeah, I struggled massively to read it in the first place because I just didn't understand what I was like. Oh, you know, it just did my head, and then eventually it did, and it was like, it's full of like, I don't think there's even any punctuation at all in that book. It's very strange.
I just didn't see the point. Why? You know, there's no point.
Ruth, what do you think about this? No dialogue tags.
No speech marks, wasn't it?
But dialogue tags is something very different. I should know this. I'm a writer.
I'm in complete agreement. I don't understand it. I don't think I've ever read a novel where I thought, well, that would have been better for losing all of those unnecessary speech marks. I think it's usually an attempt to make a book that might be on the cusp look more literary, to make a statement about where the author sees it in the market. But no, I think, you know, also it just makes the book more inaccessible. And as writers, I think our job is to talk to as many people as possible and to be, not to be as accessible as possible, because, you know, you don't want to write everything in kind of, but just, you know, like for dyslexic people, paragraph spacing and punctuation marks and speech marks are so important. And without that, I think, yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Kia. It just makes the book unnecessarily more difficult to read. And I don't think it really adds anything.
Richard says it's a lazy way of looking avant-garde. Look, what do you think about that?
I totally agree.
I think it's yeah, and Ann Cater has actually given me a couple of books that do it well. Agnes Ravatnan, I don't know what that has. It's short books, no speech marks, but excellent. And Girl, Woman, Other is extraordinarily good. No speech marks, but flows beautifully. Can it be done well, Craig? Do you think it can be done?
I think it possibly can, but just it's like walking a tightrope over Niagara. Just because it can be done is not a reason to do it. No, speech marks are there for a purpose. Put them in, make everybody's life easier. Otherwise, you're just showing off. No time for it.
Colin Ward says, can we put books with no speech marks into room 101A? I don't think it is fair to make the room 101 books hang around with them. I mean, Val, you know, you've read an incredible number of books, you know, I'm sure. How many times do you come across this, and does it annoy you each time, or do you not even bother realizing anymore?
I have come across it quite a few times, and yeah, I mean, I would say that there's not one book like that I haven't at one point or another stopped and gone like, wait a minute, what is this? Who's speaking? Is that still a continuation of what they're saying? It does blur clarity, and I agree that what we should be trying to do is encourage people to read as much and as widely as possible, and anything that puts an obstacle between the reader and the book is, in my view, a bad thing.
And Doug, do you? I mean, is this, we're going to make this a blank, you know, a full slate of people saying throw it in?
Yeah, well, I do agree. Partly because I just want to throw everything in room 101 because I hate everything. But if anyone hates something, I'm all for it. But I mean, I have read The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and I thought it was brilliant actually, but I didn't think it was brilliant because it didn't have speech marks. I think it was kind of brilliant despite the fact it didn't have speech marks. And I think he did it really well. There's a couple of things to do with the rhythm of the language. Actually, if you're a really attentive writer, you can get away with it. Also, it helped him that the fact that there's pretty much only 2 characters for the most of that book. Yeah. So if it's not him talking, it's the other one talking, and that, you know, it's his son. That's about it. But yeah, if you had a more complicated setup of that, and there is, like people have said, like Ruth said, there is a whiff of sort of not pretension, but just that kind of idea of like you're trying to place yourself in a sort of more literary space, whatever that is, and trying just kind of. And it's I'm pretty sure actually in Cormac McCarthy's case that he probably just doesn't know how to use punctuation. And like for 30 years, he just thought, oh, I'll just be very literary and get away with it. And he doesn't have to bother learning the rules.
I don't even think we need to put this book. I don't think anyone likes this. I really don't.
Well, can I propose an amendment? Because I have read some brilliant books that don't have speech marks, and like Doug said, they were brilliant books in spite of the fact that they didn't have speech marks. So my proposal would be that we don't put books without speech marks in room 101. We just compulsorily add speech marks to all of those books.
Yeah, good.
Apart from anything else, that would absolutely annoy the fuck out of Cormac McCarthy.
Exactly.
Yeah. But to do that, we'd spend a hell of a lot of time finding out where the dialogue is. Because no one knows where it is.
We'll make the authors do it, I think. It would be punishment for them.
Yeah.
I think you've chosen something here, which I think most people agree in. I mean, like Judith Williams says, in the bin, in the sea, room 101, yes. I mean, and there's yes. And someone's, but yes, sorry, I meant yes. I totally agree. Recently read a book with no full stops or capital letters. Hated it because of that. Just why? I mean, why? I mean, is there any reason to do it other than to just look a bit, you know, avant-garde, as someone said earlier? I don't think there is. Keir, I think
these are just, outdated conventions, and if you're trying to do something fresh and exciting with the novel, then you have to really start from the ground up, and just pick it all apart and take away all these expectations that people have when they open up a piece of prose. Make them work for everything you're trying to do.
Why use words at all? That's what I'm going for next in my literary novel. It's going to be fucking 400 blank pages. And Doug will still think it's too long. That's going to be one. Right, okay, we've got 10 minutes before we have a 5-minute break and we bring in our next panel. So I'm going to go quickly round now with Ruth for your non-book related Room 101 entry. What would you like to pick?
Tea. I realise this is controversial, but mainly because everybody expects British people to drink tea. And so when I go abroad, it's the bane of my life because I don't drink tea and everybody offers you tea. And also because I'm a coffee drinker and I think coffee drinkers have an unjust reputation for being coffee snobs. But a very, very expensive packet of coffee is about 6 or 7 quid. That's like top end. Very expensive packets of tea, we're talking 30, 40, 50 pounds. So I think the tea people are the snobs. I realise this is a controversial one. I'm probably not going to get it past the committee, but
I don't think that controversial at all. I think this is yeah. I never really drank tea. I don't think it's a nice.
It's brown water.
drink.
Let's face it.
It's not nice whatsoever. I don't understand it.
If you
But I do
extend
drink
to tea and coffee, then I'll vote for it for sure. I can't stand either of them.
See that coffee that you can make taste nice. I mean, like if you
No,
get a
you
good
can't.
coffee, I
You
think
just cannot. No.
I think it does. Doug, are you a tea drinker?
No, I'm not a tea drinker, so tea goes into room 101. Easy.
Val.
Before I send tea into room 101, I just want to drop a name here. Don Winslow took me out to a cafe once in San Diego where they had on the menu cough tea.
Oh.
That's one room 101.
That can go straight in room 101.
Absolutely.
Right now, no vote necessary.
I think. Hang on. My wife has actually put a message up which is unheard of for anything I ever do. Do not put tea in room 101. It's the first time Emma's ever said anything. I think but Emma is a massive tea drinker. I don't think she can get through a day without having 5-6 cups of tea. She even has decaffeinated tea bags so she can have a cup of tea later on, which is bizarre to me. I don't understand. I don't get that. Kia, what do you think? Would you put tea in room 101? Are you a massive tea drinker?
Well, you know what's funny? I wasn't a tea drinker for about 30 years of my life, but I got into it in my 30s. And now, when you're having a down day, it's just nice to have a little warm brew. So I'd like to keep tea, please. And we are British, so no, Ruth. Come on.
It's yeah, you think you know someone, Joe Chafin. Susie Holiday says no, capital letters, exclamation mark. Colin Moore says, yes, I hate tea. You have my vote, I hate tea. I don't like coffee either, but at least it smells lovely. And Judith Williams says, they can't make tea abroad. And Paul says, if I vote to put tea in, I think my upcoming wedding will be off. Bloody hell, that's a bit of...
That's up to you.
That's pressure. Colin Ward says, I have a rule. Drinks are cold, food is hot. A man who doesn't like any sandwiches. And Sue Dougal says, no, keep tea. I once contacted Karen Slaughter. I'm going to need somewhere to pick up all these names that keep getting dropped. To tell how to make tea properly as characters were putting tea bags into cups of water. I think she thought I was nuts. Yeah, probably did. But I think this is probably the most controversial thing.
Right on the cusp, isn't it?
In.
See, I'm gonna make a ruling on this, and I'm gonna do it quickly. It's going into room 101 purely because I don't like it, and I don't like the fact that it seems to have like taken up so much of the room in my kitchen is like dedicated to massive bags of Yorkshire tea. What's the point of it?
You do know that Emma is currently phoning her divorce lawyer.
Well, if she
probably unplugging the internet right now.
It's going in. Doug, what's your non-book related one?
My non-book thing is Britain. I want to put Britain in room 101. The whole fucking country, the whole concept, everything about it. It's a fucking nonsense. It's been a nonsense for hundreds of years. It's the root of all evil, pretty much. The idea, for a start, it's a country that's got the fucking word great in its name. It's like, get over yourself, for fuck's sake. It's like, just be a normal country. It's this idea of exceptionalism, like they're better than everyone else.
Can I just say on a point of information, that's to distinguish it from Brittany in France, because that's pretty Britannia.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, it's no one watching Great British Bake Off or whatever fucking believes that. So, and everything about it, it's like, it's like this sort of deference and exceptionalism. Like people in Britain think they're fucking better than other countries, and that's the problem. That's why fucking Brexit happened. That's why the fucking Queen exists. That's why the House of Lords is still there. Fuck it all. Room 101. I mean, that's not controversial, is it? No.
Let's go back to tea.
This might be more controversial than tea, I think. The comments have literally just stopped. I mean, they just ground to a halt.
Not getting involved.
Stop drinking.
I don't think it's Britain so much as just certain people that you have an issue with. It's people who think that a certain...
I'm telling him what he doesn't have an issue with. Because I think you'll find you're wrong.
I think it's people who think it still exists in the mind as it did a certain amount of time ago. Yeah. But let's go around the panel. Ruth, would you put Britain into it?
So does that mean that I would be left having to be English? Is that the?
Yep.
Or would we just disappear?
You could apply. You could apply. We'll take you.
Okay, if I can get a Scottish passport, I'm in. Yeah, we'll chuck Britain in the bin.
The three of us will put a word in for you.
Okay.
Kia, what do you think?
I mean, I'd like to keep Britain because where would I go?
You'd be stuck in England.
I mean, all the
like
Brexiteers will probably tell me go back to Bangladesh, but I was born in London, so I have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And you have to stay in England. I mean, get rid of the concept of Britain and just divide the United Kingdom into its component parts. I could live with that.
Okay, I mean, in that case, then Doug, yeah, I'll get behind you on that.
Some comments have come in. No argument, Doug for PM.
Well, I would abolish PM because that's part of Britain. So
You're shambolic blonde, so you'd fit right in.
I'm, seeing as you're asking, I'm with Doug. Get rid of Britain and get rid of flags. I don't like flags.
I didn't concentrate because I knew exactly what you were going to say. Anne says, I couldn't love Doug more at this moment. Michelle says, yes, Doug. Kay Miller says, as somebody watching from the US, I feel I should sit this one out. My dad says, brilliant, Italy is better. Well, Colin Ward, I am English, I'd like not to be. Mary, I'm with Doug on this. Paul, this chat just went down. And then Colin says, can I move to Scotland, please? So, I mean, Susie just come in with the only no so far.
Does this mean we get rid of the Great British Bake Off as well?
Yeah, that's my problem. I love that show. So
yeah, but it's just going to be called Cakes.
Yeah, just cakes.
Cakes and shit.
With an exclamation mark.
And Channel 4, if you're watching, you can have that.
I think, I mean, that's the thing, that the chat's come in and it is going in. So, I mean, Britain has to go in because of democracy. Although, does democracy still exist if we don't have a parliamentary system?
Well, you'd have your own. Let's not go into details right now, but you'd set up your own parliament.
Also, what you do is up to you after this.
Yeah.
Liverpool could be its own city-state, Luca.
I mean, we do walk around with T-shirts that say Scouse, not English on them. So I think, any excuse to just start soaring off from just before.
People's Republic of Liverpool.
Yeah. Right, quickly, Kia, let's go to you. What's your non-book related one?
My non-book related one is tapas. I hate tapas. 3 reasons. Firstly, it never fills you up. You have 3 potatoes, half a falafel, half a croquette. Secondly, it costs a hell of a lot. You might spend £15 on a main and you will leave happy and full, but you spend £15 on tapas and it's, £5 per dish. And it's just, unless you order enough to feed a small army and you spend a huge amount, it's just not worth it. And thirdly, it's really hard when you're a Brit, because everybody's so polite and they're like, oh, no, you have the last bit. No, you have the last bit. When you know full well, you all want the last bit, but you're just too polite to take it. So put tapas in Room 101.
I'm with you on this one. If you can't give me my food that's on a plate that's big enough to, completely feed me. But, it just seems pointless to me because you never know how many you're supposed to order. If you order too many, you look really fat and greedy. And if you don't order enough, as a fat and greedy person, I feel hungry for the rest of the day. So let's go around. Val, would you put tapas in?
Kind of like to, yeah, because I'm an only child and I don't do sharing. My dinner.
Doug, what would you say?
This is really testing me because I want to put everything in Room 101. I do like tapas a lot. Partly because I've got kids that usually order from a menu and then change their minds 5 minutes later. So it's better if you get loads of little stuff because then you can go, look, just have some of that bloody prawn and I can have someone else.
Doug, I put Britain in Room 101 for you.
Okay, all right, okay, fair enough. Right, tapas is good then. Right,
thank you.
Get it?
Ruth.
No, I can't put tapas in. I'm extremely greedy and I always want to order everything on the menu when I go to a restaurant. And tapas is my one opportunity to do this. You don't have to commit to one dish. You can just have everything.
No, I'm not having it. It's still not enough food on the plate.
No.
Especially when it's expensive and you spend all this money on the food. But Craig, what do you say? Would you put this in tapas? Would you put tapas?
No, I fucking love tapas. It's probably one of my favourite things. And Kean, you don't have to worry about being a Brit and arguing over the last one because we're not British anymore. Doug sorted that out.
That is true.
No, I love it. And you do get your own plate. You get lots of plates. Don't let anybody else near them.
You
order
can
lots
ring
of stuff.
fence, yeah.
My taste buds have a really low boredom threshold, so getting lots of different things, it's great. Can't beat it. And don't eat them in Britain, because apart from Cafe Andalus in Glasgow, which is fantastic, and I want to do it next time I'm in, yeah, go there.
I disagree. In the comments, yes, tapas in room 101. Sod tapas, just open up 3 bags of McCoys and tip them into one open bag. Someone just taking this opportunity to complain about putting food on a slate. What's wrong with plates? I do hate that as well. You know, when they turn up with it and it's not a proper plate, I'm like, and it's always in those fucking stupid restaurants that charge like 20 quid for like a potato or something. Tapas is just an all-you-can-eat restaurant for pixies. Too much washing up, stick it in. It's pretty unanimous. It is going in, so I'm afraid, unfortunately, Craig.
Sorry, Craig.
It is going in. And finally, Val, you finish us off with our non-book related choice.
Very simple. Pineapple on pizza.
Yes!
Agree! Yes!
You don't have to say any more, Val. That's it. That's enough.
That's
At least
Absolutely.
one personal statement of the whole night.
I mean, that's literally, that's it. That you don't need to say any more. Every time someone eats a pizza with pineapple on it, one of my ancestors cries. Oh, no. I mean, we gave this to the world, and then you ruin it by putting shit on it that shouldn't be on there. It's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, is to put fruit on any kind of pizza. But I'm willing to hear. No, I'm not willing to hear anything. Ruth, you agree, don't you? Thanks very much. Doug, great. Craig, yes. Kia, yes. Yeah. Everyone. Let's have a look at the comments. Susie Holiday says, yes, put it in. She doesn't really. Kay Miller says, no. What? You get off. Conwood, yay. Room 101, it should be a criminal offence. Michelle says, no. Io says, definitely. I mean, it's not. I'm not even going to take a vote on this. I've been literally going to Room 101 for a long time, and I always knew that my road mum would have my back in life. I didn't realise it would be this. That would be the biggest thing. But yeah, it is ridiculous. Have you ever tried it, Val?
No.
You don't need to, do you?
You don't need to. I mean, like, would you put pineapple on a piece of bread? Would you serve pineapple with tomatoes? Would you serve pineapple with olives? Would you serve pineapple with? Well, you probably would serve it with mozzarella cheese, but I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, it's just mad. It's madness.
It's
not okay.
That is going into Room 101. Someone pointing out that tomato is a fruit, but it's not really. You don't put tomato in a fruit salad and then come back to me.
Yeah, well, that's the line, isn't it? Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad.
Exactly. And that's the line we're going to end part 1 on it. I'd like to thank Ruth Ware, Doug Johnston, Keir Abdullah, and Val McDermid. Craig's going to join me in the second half, where we're going to be joined by Mark Billingham and CL Taylor, Abia Mukherjee, and Fiona Cummins. We're going to be away for 5 minutes. You don't need to do anything. I'm going to just put up a nice picture on here, and yeah, I think that's going to work. We'll find out, but we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Are we still? No, we're not. Yeah, we are. All right. Let's see the guys for 5 minutes.
Hello.
I think everyone's here, except for Fiona. Your name has come up as something very different.
That's my child's name.
Oh, I need to change my name. Hang on.
Can you change it there, Luke? Or shall I?
How do you do that? How do you change your name?
So
click on your name and type rename.
Little dots, and you can just
Click on what?
What? Which bit?
Look out, you need to
if you hover over your picture, you can see 3 little dots.
Oh yeah, rename. Okay.
So yes, there's no comments coming in. Yes, there are still people here watching. Is everyone here? Everyone's right. I just like to point out straight away that someone is going to get all of their choices into room 101 tonight, no matter what they are, because they've managed to have a better background game than I ever had. Actual picture of my book.
I've won, guys. I'm over.
Oh, sneaky.
So Luke,
This is how
I'm
my
just
report.
I'm a bit worried about
we
wearing
get
it.
one, right? We get one, right?
Well, depends how quickly we do it.
Because having just seen that last one, you basically get one and then a very quick non-crime one.
I mean,
because everybody's doing that all the time.
I mean, I was like, very aware of the fact that there was all use lot waiting. But if we go over, we go over. Because I want to try.
We probably could go a bit quicker on each one. I would have thought.
No, I think just take it in whatever shape or form. I mean, we're not under a deadline, are we? We just enjoy it.
We've got fuck all else to do.
Fucking lockdown, nothing to do apart from get absolutely
It's either talking to you or dealing with the kids, right? So,
right. So,
can I put my family into room 101? I want a last minute change. That's a joke, not really.
Most of my family are watching, so I can't do that. Colin, yes, we can. We do know that you can see us doing this bit.
Oh no, can they hear us?
Professionalism of us.
We've been live the whole time.
Yes, I did say that no one listened, that we would be going straight on live. So just to bring in some professionalism to it, we're going to go around the panel, and you can introduce yourselves and tell us what your latest book is. So let's start with Mark. Mark, introduce yourself.
Mark Billingham, my latest book is Cry Baby, which is a prequel to my first novel, Sleepyhead. I thank you. Fiona.
I'd just like to say I didn't know we were live, and to my family, I didn't really mean I want to put you and my latest book is called The Neighbour, and it's been out for a while. Thank you.
Abir.
I'm Abir Mukherjee. My latest book is called Death in the East, but in honour of Val McDermid, I'm currently writing a book about a sloth who is a sleeper agent for ISIS. He's a really good sleeper agent, and that's coming out next year.
Callie, CL Taylor. Are we allowed to call you Callie, aren't we, surely?
Yeah, Callie, also known as CL Taylor. Strangers, psychological thriller, should still be in the supermarkets. Yeah, that's me.
We should have done that. See, holding up the book.
I reached round. It was within hand's reach.
Okay. And Craig is joining us for the second hour because I made him.
I am still Craig Robertson. My latest book is Still Watch Him Die. Earlier I said it was quite good. I now tell you it's fucking brilliant.
Someone's complaining about your language already, Fiona.
Sorry.
Which is, and knowing what's to come, it's not going to get any better. And John Dixon says he loves strangers. There you go, Callie.
Oh, thanks, John.
Generally.
And then there's general. And Paul says, just finished a Callie cracking book. And two people just want to say hi, Mark. Robert and Marie Black say hi, Mark.
Hello, Bob and Marie.
Oh, sorry, Bob. It says Robert. I didn't know.
He's Bob to me.
It's Bob to you, not to me. I'll call him Robert. Mr. Black.
Okay.
Mr. Black. Right. So, if you didn't see the first half, we've got 5 names in the Brookside Cup, and I will pick one at random. They will choose their first pick for room 101. We'll discuss it, and in the comments, you decide if it goes in or not. And yeah, I'm going to choose at random. The first choice will be a book-related pick. And the first name is Fiona.
Oh. So was someone complaining seriously about my language, or were they joking?
I think they were joking, but no, not complaining. He actually says not complaining.
Right. So this is again, this is a book-related one. I'm not sure which one to go for, but it's not the most conventional of choices of publishing dislikes, really. But it is. I think there'll be some people out there who do agree with me. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. I know this isn't quite the way it goes, but I just want to tell you a little story first, okay? Before I tell you what it is. So I received a little while ago a message in my Twitter, like DM box, from a reader. I'm not really on Facebook. I'm not into Instagram, so it's the only way readers can connect with me. And it was from a reader who said that they really enjoyed my books and would I consider doing a signing for them. So I was like, naturally, of course. You know, I can send you a book plate and sign it for you and personalize it. Or if you want, you can send my books via my agency and I'll sign them and send them back to you. And then he replied by saying, please, can you sign this? And it was a picture of his dick, right? So I want to put in my room 101 dick pics, right? Okay. I would like to say, right, lads, I never need to see a picture of your dick, okay? They're not photogenic, okay? I don't want to sign your dick either, okay? I'll sign your books instead. But anyway, so that's, you know, that's what I want to put into my room 101. Is that acceptable? I know it's not the most conventional of choices, but, you know, that did happen. And, you know, other weird things that get signed, maybe, guys, you've had similar experiences. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have that all the time. People send me pictures of dicks that I have to sign. But I don't think it's book related. I think
it is because it's about signing. That's why it's book related. And everyone else's are quite, you know, I don't know. I was looking for something a little different, Luca.
No, I like it. What do you think, Mark? Let's go to you first.
I think Fiona, you should have just got back to him to say my name's too long. I'll never fit it on there. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's clearly just a twat. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's particularly relevant to the fact that you're a writer or anything. Do you know what I mean? I think he's just a twat who gets off. He probably sends dick pics to all sorts of people.
But Mark, are you saying that he didn't like my books?
Oh, no. Obviously, he was a massive fan, but who also happened to be a twat.
Thank you.
No, I mean, no, obviously, this has got to go in.
He's saying he's lying.
It's massively unacceptable. I can't, you know. I can honestly say I've never had anything sort of that ilk or even its, you know, I've never had a woman send me a equivalent pic.
Oh, you've done it now. You've done it now.
That's not an invitation.
Get your equivalents out for the lads. Go on, Mark.
Mark, Tuesday morning, your postbag is going to be very interesting.
Hang on. So Fiona, just to be clear, he wanted you to sign the picture. He wasn't asking.
No, he wanted me to sign the real thing. So yeah, I mean, no. I'm
so
not
stage 2 would have. Okay, fine.
I'm not doing any one-on-one signings. Sorry.
I mean, the pressure that would have been on him, though. Would have been, you know,
yeah. He'd have needed a fluffer, presumably.
Anyway, I sort of wish I hadn't done that one now after seeing everyone else's very sensible ones. So apologies if anyone's offended. It was like a joke, really. But
in the comments.
Pardon?
DMing you now, Mark. So you've got something to look forward to. What do you think about this?
I'm just thinking, right, obviously it's going in, right? It's going in the room, but I'm just curious as to the logistics of the whole thing. Would you have to use a Sharpie or...
Oh, it's just the word Sharpie.
Use anything with too sharp a nib, could you?
A compass.
Hammer and chisel. I mean, Callie, this is, you know, I mean, has this happened to you at all or something similar?
I'm almost scared that I'm going to jinx myself, but I have never received a dick pic. Now, I don't know whether or not I'm a bit scary or a bit unattractive, but I don't want one. Don't send any. And if you do, I'll report you to Twitter. And
I did. That's what I did. I reported, blocked, and the account was deleted.
Good.
You cock blocked, basically. That's pretty good.
Great.
My reply also involved using Sharpies, but Abir stole it from me. He got it first. So yeah, use a Sharpie as it's meant to be used. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Of course, it's going in.
Yeah.
Never happened. Move on.
Comments are quite overwhelming to say it should go in, as you would think that people who can, think. Susie Holiday suggests using a tattoo gun.
Yes, Susie. Yes.
Callie tempted fate is another comment. And Colmore says, if Luca reaches for his phone now, on a completely unrelated topic, does anyone know how to unsend DMs? That thing, I've never understood just in general the idea that anyone would want to see a picture of that, because I don't want to look at it. Never mind someone. I got fat, so I didn't have to look at it.
I had when I was thinking about it, I did say in my head, it'll come out completely wrong. But what I was going to say is, it shouldn't be a picture. They should be enjoyed in the flesh. But I don't mean it like that. If you know what I mean, I don't want any more. Thanks. The end. Anyway, it's going in.
Oh, it's going in. It's going in.
It's definitely going in. Now I have to do a signal to the family in the other room, because I knew this was coming up. So I had to tell them to mute it, because my 2 young children, I knew they wouldn't enjoy this chat. So I have to do the signal now, which is okay. So
is that them muting themselves now?
Yeah. Hopefully. I hope there wasn't some kind of breakdown in communication.
They're saying for the last 10 minutes.
So let's go to the cup. That was an easy Room 101 pick.
Yeah, it's cheating a bit, really, wasn't it?
And we're gonna go for this one, which is Abir.
Well, given that we started off on dick pics, let me keep the tone going with exposure. Now, what do I mean by that? As you know, Luca, I've got no problem with exposure on the personal level. I'm like a Will Dean who's past his prime. I just don't care. But I'm talking about a different type of exposure. I'm talking about the type of exposure that everyone seems to offer us writers in lieu of actually paying us any money. You write an article. Oh, we can't pay you, but we'll give you some phenomenal exposure. Please come and talk to us. We don't pay anybody, but you'll get exposure, and you probably sell 2 books. And the issue is, it's never the Mark Billinghams that get this. They know that Mark Billingham won't get out of bed for less than 10 grand and a packet of spuds. It's writers like me. It's hardworking, handsome, overlooked writers have to deal with this, right? So that's my problem. Exposure instead of paying us. I don't mind doing stuff for free. I mean, like for charities and stuff or libraries, it's all fine. But when everybody else is getting paid, except for the writers, that's my issue with exposure. So I want to put exposure into Room 101.
So I mean, this probably should be the best place to admit that Mark is the only person getting paid to do this.
I've got a very scary agent. What can I tell you?
I'm a very scary agent.
Mark, do you still get this? You've been.
I don't think there's anybody around who doesn't get it. And it's not just writers; it goes for actors, musicians, all sorts of people. Anybody within the arts generally, they think we're all just so desperate to have some kind of platform that will do anything for fuck all. And it's not just articles; it's festivals that should know better. Who seem to think that there's one festival which I'm not going to name. That my daughter, who was with me at the time, was doing sort of semi-voluntary stuff where she was holding up signs during events. She got paid. None of the writers on stage were getting paid. I think that's changing a bit, because I think people are starting to really, get arsey about it, like Abir. and shout about it on public platforms, as they should, because it's unacceptable. Straight into 101, no argument.
Fiona, do you agree?
Yeah, and I was going to say, to add insult to injury, I did an event that was like a free event, and there was 4 of us on the panel, and the person that was interviewing us, they'd reviewed all of our books as well, and 2 of the people on the panel got 5 stars, and then 2 of the people on the panel, including myself, got 4 stars. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't normally care about, like, I'd be really pleased to get 4 stars, but I felt that kind of added insult to injury as well. So basically did a free event and got slated by the moderator. So yes, no to free exposure. Fuck you.
Some of the comments, Susie Holiday says, a guy just emailed me the other day to ask me to write an 800-page article on 800 words, I think is what you mean, on 800 on a complex topic with the offer of a bio on the site. That's just ridiculous. Joe Jakeman, does Abby need us to set up a GoFundMe? Colin Ward says...
That was fund, wasn't it? She said fund, right?
GoFundMe was, I think was, yeah, it might have been a terrible autocorrect, but we'll go with fund. Colin Ward says they pay the NHS nurses with claps these days. Into room 101 with exposure instead of pay. Colin says, feeling guilty that we paid you in gin now, Abby. I think you're all right.
No, I'm happy with gin. And as they actually offered to pay me. I said no because it was a university thing. So
that's true. I know that's true. I was involved, and I know that he turned the money down.
Yeah, do a lot of work. You don't like to talk about it.
Callie, do you think there's ever a time when it actually does work out better than actually getting paid?
Not that I can think of. Not that. No, I've like travelled halfway across the country and further for exposure and paid the price of all the travel off my own back. And there's been like 7 people there. So I'm like, not great exposure there. And there's one newspaper magazine that I will no longer write for who also pay you in exposure. So it takes me, people assume that short stories are really, really quick to write. It takes me about a week. That's a whole week of my time, which I would give for free for exposure. But the byline at the bottom of this magazine is like the smallest font hidden in the corner. And that's not exposure. That's just making a dick out of me, really.
I can beat that one because I was asked to do write a short story for a newspaper earlier this year. Couldn't pay us, but you'd be in the paper, etc. So I did that, and then they got my name wrong on this short story. I think fine. It's all forgiven now, but I wasn't pleased. The thing with this kind of thing, though, is it's time. And it's time that could be spent writing a book, which is what we're supposed to do. So when you give that time up, I think it's fair to be recompensed for it. I'm involved with a couple of book festivals, but when I set up Butte Noir, I did so on the understanding that although we were a small festival, we would only do it if the authors were paid. And if every author wasn't paid, then I wasn't going to be involved.
I mean, it's not with most festivals and stuff. The fee you get is, it's not going to pay your mortgage, but it's a principle, isn't it? It's just a principle that says,
none of us believe that Mark Billingham has a mortgage, so you can.
Barry might do in house number 3.
Oh yeah, true.
The other 2 are paid off.
All right, let's vote.
No, and we have got a comment here from Jess who says you can always say no, and it's nice to support charity events. I think that's different.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about at all. As someone who did a festival for charity this year, it wasn't for exposure whatsoever that I asked those people to do. It was to support an actual charity. I do things like that all the time because I have no issue with that. It's when you're doing festivals or appearances or events for people who are doing it just so they can save some money, not having to pay the main person that because we're the only people who are making this thing happen. And it's saying, well, we'll get your name out there. That's very different than doing it for charity, which I don't think any of us have had any issue with. And I think everyone was involved in that festival. Apart from Abby, who really kicked off, and we ended up having to send them, fucking some Monopoly money. But
gin. I worked for gin. Remember?
Gin. That was it. That was what I remember. Gin. Did you ever try and drink that gin?
Tasted quite fruity.
Yeah. So on the comments, Paul Gitcham says we're on the new Halifax exposure mortgage. Colin Ward says the problem with the exposure thing is it is expected that you feel grateful for it. Artists should say, no, pay me a fee. When your exposure results in sales, I shall refund the fee to you. And Susie says it's when the organisations make money and you don't, that is wrong.
That's the thing. Yeah, not charities or helping the libraries. That's all fine. We all do that a lot. But it's when they make money and we don't. We get.
And my dad says, happens to musicians all the time. For festivals, put it right in room 101. So listen, we all have to. My dad has said it, and Abby has got a picture of my book behind him, so it was always going to go into room 101.
My room always looks like this, Luca. It's not just for the station.
I mean, I wasn't going to ask because I'm just going to accept that that might be a possibility and live my life knowing that. I would have been
I'm on the
TV.
This is one notch away from the whole Dan Alan Partridge thing. If you go around to Abby's house, there's like full-size, life-size cutouts of you and pictures of you on the wall.
I've got an inflatable Luca.
An inflatable Luca. Christ, that must take some blowing up.
Oh! Oh!
I can say that because I'm your friend, Luca.
I know you can, and it's also because I paid you 10 grand, and that check will bounce.
I used to have an extra one, but they took it for, you know, that Trump one that you see flying around?
Listen, lockdown's been hard for us all right? I've put a few pounds on. Right, next up we have Mark.
Okay, there's lots of genres, subgenres in what we write, and most of them they're all marketing exercises. Basically, you know, it's a police procedural, it's a psych thriller, it's a serial killer thriller. The one that just fucks me off beyond belief is the literary thriller. The notion of a literary thriller. What does that even mean? Does it just mean a really good one? Because if it does, that's what we're all trying to write, you idiots. Just the idea of a literary thriller, and it kind of dovetails with the whole notion of writers who kind of think writing crime is beneath them. And you know, I've seen them on panels at crime festivals where the first thing they say is, "I don't really know why I'm here because I'm not really a crime writer." And you're going, "What? So the detective and the 4 murders in the opening chapter are not a clue?" It's it's just part of the whole snobby thing, like a crime novel that's so good the literary community says, "We'll have this one. This is too good. We're just going to park this one over in our corner of the car park." I hate it. It just makes my shit itch. Apologies.
Is a literary thriller just a thriller without a plot? Because that's how I found most literary books to be. They're just books with no discernible plot or anything of interest going on. I'm not the biggest literary fan. And this might get me thrown out of some. Well, no fucking literary clubs would have me anyway with this accent. But Fiona, what do you think about the literary thriller?
I'm with you, Luca. I mean, I have to say that literary novels are not my first go-to book of choice. In fact, they're fucking dull, aren't they? So yeah, straight into room 1. I'm with Mark on this.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about literary fiction. You know, generally speaking, I'm not talking about, you know, I'm talking about what is quite clearly a crime novel, but is just, you know, called a literary crime novel because
it's probably got loads of extra words in it that no one needs.
Right, and no speech marks, no speech marks,
no plot.
They want money. They want the money from being a crime. They want to get into the genre and they want the sales. They just don't want to dirty their hands with it. They don't want to be called a crime fiction. So fuck that. Just go away. It's our ball. You're not getting it. Go home. Or play nice.
No, I'm with Craig here. I don't think we put the books, then we put the people in. We give them a name and put them in the room.
Yeah.
Does this count with like these literary authors who suddenly decide to become crime authors, like, you know, John Banville writing crime and he changes his name and it's everything like that? Is that are their books very different to what they were writing before? Because I've never read them, so I wouldn't know.
I think they'd like to think they are. There was a very famous panel at Harrogate one year with John Banville and Reg Hill. And I knew it was all going to go wrong because John Banville pulled up in a car and he got out and he was wearing a big hat. And I thought, this isn't going to go well. He's got a big literary writer's hat on. And he sat on stage with the brilliant Reg Hill and said, well, you know, I write differently when I'm John Banville to when I'm Benjamin Black. When I'm John Banville, I can barely scratch out, you know, 100 words a day. Whereas when I'm Benjamin Black, I can just bang this shit out. And the audience were like, I mean, he really picked the wrong audience to say that in front of. Put it that way.
But the changing the name thing makes perfect sense. I write under a different name when I write my literary stuff. I write literary fiction under Bernardine Evaristo because it's so different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't want people to get confused.
Yeah, it's
I have a terrible vision of Craig as Bernardine Evaristo right now. That's not something I want to see.
It's not quite what Mark was saying, but it's similar in that I have an issue with the term literary commercial crossover. So it's a psychological thriller, but it's literary commercial, whereas my book is categorized as commercial. So basically what it's saying is their book is better written.
Yeah, that's what I really object to.
Which
It's
is
that
like-
idea of, like you crime writers write, but just better.
Yeah.
I thought a literary commercial crossover was a car.
What about the other way though? What about Tony Mortimer from E17, who's going to write a crime novel? He's read 50 books over lockdown after having never read before, and now he's going to have a bash. Do we support him?
Anyone who writes something like Stay Another Day, I'm going to welcome into the community because that is a class song.
Look at before we carry on, my mate Paddy's watching this, and I told him you're the world's biggest Britney fan. So when we finish, will you play us out with Hit the Baby One More Time? I said you'd do it. I said, look, I'm an important crime writer. He'll do this. You watch. So, you know, my reputation's on the line here.
I'll be more to the point. Try and stop him now.
I can see the headstock of a guitar just poking up over your shoulder, Luke.
Oh, just this thing.
Just there. It's probably not tuned.
Well,
Comments.
that makes a difference.
I get away with it. In my head, I do anyway. Someone's asked for an example of a literary thriller. Would you like to name one?
Well, no, because I don't think such a thing really exists. It's like I say, it's normally a thing marketing people do. You know, when the proof pops through your door and you read the press release, it always says, you know, a literary thriller from a.
I don't know. Would you call The Secret History by Donna Tartt a literary thriller?
No, well, I wouldn't.
How about My Dark Vanessa? That was peddled as literary, but it's about grooming and crime. It's a
so I would call Elmore Leonard literary thrillers. I would call Dennis Lehane literary thrillers. I would anything that's
Tana French. That's literary. That's a literary thriller, isn't it?
What does it even mean? What does it mean?
I think it's the branding that's the issue rather than the actual problem. Io's just pointed out that's Io's sister who has that Abby on a Saturday. Hello, Abby. I'd put all genre specifications into room 101 from Jess.
Is it about prizes? Is that what it is? Prizes?
Or shops, maybe, to try and get them into
maybe. I think once you brand anything like commercial, this is a commercial thriller. It's like it's almost admitting up front is that this one we think people will like and buy. This other one is for the serious people. About 3 of them who will buy it, and I think that's the distinction that is made.
It's the kiss of death. If your publicist ever says to you, "I'm marketing your next book as a literary thriller," you should just run a mile, because what they're basically saying is, "No fucker's going to buy this."
I think it's unanimous in the comments that it's going in, so it is going in. Colin Moore says, "So literary thriller writers write better than crime writers." Paul mentions Enid Blyton as a literary. Nah, I wouldn't say that. And Judith Williams says it's for people who don't want to think they're crime readers. I mean, that's a good point. And I think that's a great point, Judith. You've won a prize. It's made up.
That's singing.
It's Abby's blow up doll of me. That's what you.
I can't afford the postage.
You have to clean it yourself. So yeah, that's going into room 101. Let's go back to the morgue. Let's find out who's next. Callie.
Hey. Okay. So my biggest gripe is a blurb that publishers are very keen on using. Maybe not so much now because there's been a bit of an outcry, but at the time it was a twist you won't see coming. Well, I might not have seen it coming if you hadn't told me that there was a twist. So now I'm going to read the book, trying to guess what the twist is, and I'm going to spoil it for myself. Whereas if it suddenly came out of nowhere, it could have been the best twist I've ever read. And also, as an author, we spend hours, days, months trying to come up with that twist that's going to catch people out, that makes them like inhale at the end of the book going, that twist. And the publisher's basically going, twist, massive twist. See if you can be cleverer than the author and guess it and spoil it for yourself. So
I'm
I
sorry.
want it in the bin.
It's ruined books for me, because I remember I read Gone Girl before this whole twist thing came out about that book.
Even gone.
And it was nice to read that without having that knowledge, because I then read another book which was all about the twist. But because I knew it going in, I guessed it on page 4. You know, it's because I was like, well, if there's a twist, I think it'll be this, and then it ruins the book for you. Yeah. It's really annoying. Mark, what do you think about this?
Well, it is nonsense. I mean, apart from anything else, what is the point of a twist you can see coming? I mean, if it's a twist you can see coming, it's not a twist, is it? It is a bit. I mean, one of the things I almost went with was books that are full of twists. You can, I call it the chubby checkers of crime writing, who twist and twist again. There's just it just becomes meaningless. You stop caring, because unless you're invested in the character, one killer twist is brilliant. But when it's just there's a twist halfway through, and then another twist, and then another one. It's just the writer showing off. It doesn't mean anything. But I agree. I think it's a ludicrous thing to put. I know the book you're talking about, Luca. I think the second one you mentioned, and I read that without knowing there's a twist, and I virtually fell off the chair. I thought it was so clever. But when you know something's coming, you're looking for it, aren't you? So
that's the problem, because it ruined the enjoyment of that book, because I enjoyed it, other than the fact that I kind of, when I got to the point, I was like, oh fuck, I was right. And it's like, it kind of has ruined that experience for me, because it was really well written and I was enjoying it. It's just annoying in that sense.
But that particular blurb, a twist you can't see coming, is like the one they used to put on books where they'd go, don't read this with the lights off. Who the fuck reads books with the lights off? Do the people that write this stuff, what do they think? What are they on?
Fiona, what do you think about this?
Well, having had one of my own books described in that way, I would be putting my own book in room 101, which is perhaps where it deserves to go.
It's not the book, it's the blurb. It's not the book, it's the blurb, Fiona. It's not the book.
But yeah, I know. I mean, I'm with you, because it just telegraphs the twist, doesn't it? And that's shit if you spent ages working really hard to disguise a twist. And then the other thing that really irritates me is if it says that there's a twist and then the twist is really shit or really weak, or in fact isn't a twist at all. So yeah, I'm with you, Callie, even though it involves putting my own books in room 101.
Susie Holiday says in the comments, put so much pressure on authors. I agree. John Dixon says, or in the description, the perfect couple, or were they? Can
I just take exception to this one, though? As somebody who's never had the intelligence to write a single twist, I would like, if I do come up with a twist, I want my sort of PR people to put it on the cover. Now with twist.
Twist.
Mukherjee book with the twist.
So it's got to go in. It's got to go in because it's a redundant phrase. But the only thing worse than a twist that you can't see coming is one that you can't see because it's so ridiculous. There's nothing to do with anything that's already in the plot. Something that turns on its head, that's worse than one you can see coming. So get that in the bin as well.
Oh yeah. Let's not talk about those books.
And my dad makes the great points of a film he ruined for me 20 odd years ago that I still haven't forgiven him for. He says, I totally agree. I guess Bruce Willis was a ghost in Sixth Sense before it started because someone told me there was a twist. And he helpfully informed me of this just before I was going. He went, by the way, I think Bruce Willis is a ghost in that film. Have a good one. The whole film I'm watching going like,
oh, that's horrible.
He's not right. He's not right. He's not right. Oh, he fucking was the whole time. But I mean, I think it's
Also, very much intending to watch The Usual Suspects. I've got news for you.
Paul says, "Don't worry if the publisher doesn't put it in the blurb. Some bellend will put it in the Amazon review. The review that gets liked and sits at the top of the review list for ages." And it does seem, and I will point this out, and I'm not going to make any judgment, is that there does seem to be in reviews where it seems to be like a badge of honor some people like to wear, that like, I guessed the twist. I knew what I mean. Like, I don't think that is something that I wish I knew was coming, because I quite like to just read a book and just absorb it as it's coming.
Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Don't
enjoy it. And I don't like to look for them. And I enjoy those books where it's like, oh, that's happened. Oh, that's interesting. And I like that instead. And yeah, I think Callie is right on this one. I think they should go in, and I think the comments are very much on your side. Susie Holliday puts out, yes, but also just reveals they aren't always twists. And some reviewers get angry when they work them out. That's another thing. Reviewers get really angry if they work them out, as if, like, you haven't hidden them enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just one of those things. If you don't point it out, people won't be looking for them.
Yeah, that's what I think. Although I may now have to speak to my publisher, who's got the Amazon subtitle, The Twistiest Book of 2021. So don't read it if we send it to you, Mark.
But you're right. It's that thing about pressure, and especially to those people here who write psych thrillers, who are known for writing psych thrillers. It's what's the twist in this one? What's the big twist in that? And maybe you go, there isn't one. Maybe just, you know what I mean? This time there isn't. It's not about that. But there is.
Slaughtered in the comments if I wrote a book with no twist.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
no.
Slaughtered. Yeah.
Callie, you write a book without a twist, and then after the end, you put, didn't see that coming, did you?
Yeah. What you do is you write a book without a twist and get them to market it as a literary psych thriller.
Yes, that's it.
That's
More metaphors.
It's going in. It's a full house so far. Our last name is Craig. Let's see if we can make it 5 out of 5 going in.
Okay, I'll make it quick because we're running out of time, and also I have no prep for this whatsoever. Twins. I want to put twins in room 101. Not twins in real life, and especially if any of you are any twins. That would be scary. Twins in crime fiction. If you read a crime fiction novel, and I apologise profusely if any of you have done twins as a device, but I know you're too smart to have done that. When you see twins in a crime novel, you cry bullshit right away. You know there's going to be some bullshit twist. You saw one of the twins going into the office just before he was killed. No, you didn't. Of course you didn't. It's the other one. TV dramas are worse than this in novels, I think. There has never been a good TV program with twins in it made, ever, because it's all based on bullshit. That's my case.
Are you dissing the Danny DeVito film?
Yes. But that's slightly different because they weren't completely identical.
I know.
I'd just like to point out that in this book that came out 2 days ago, there's twins in it.
Right. See, earlier today, when I asked you, Luca, the question, do you know if anyone who's written twins in a book so that I don't offend them? You didn't bother.
You were saving it up. There's a twist you didn't see coming.
Well, all I can tell you is that book is shit. Don't buy it. Make yourself $6.99 and the rest of Luca's career.
Oh, forget it then.
No! To be fair though, in my book,
I'm not going down with this shit.
the twins thing in my book is literally, it's not a device. It's nothing other than there's twins. They don't look the same. What's it called? Non-identical twins.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah. So it's not a device. I can't really remember the last book I read that used this as a device, because it feels like it's more of an old-fashioned thing. But do we have an equivalent of like something that's happened recently in this? Has anyone read one recently where this happened?
Well, with twins?
Yeah.
I did see I don't want to upset anybody.
Come on, it's late.
It's too late for that, Callie.
I saw a play about triplets, and it was a crime play, and I groaned a bit. I won't
Triplets of evil.
Triplets are the same as twins, except there's one more of them. So I'll take that.
It was even more twisty than the other twin did it, because there was 3.
There is a brilliant thing with triplets. I would urge any of you to watch it. It's non-fiction. It's a documentary. 3 Identical Strangers. Have you seen? If anybody hasn't seen that,
I saw that. That's good.
Unbelievable.
Read that, but don't read the news articles about it that kind of
watch it without reading anything about it.
So what happens in this book, Luca, with the twins?
It's literally just, I don't even know why I made them twins, because it doesn't really make any difference to the plot. It's just about these two sisters in the book. They are twins. One has done one thing with their life, the other hasn't done as well with their life. And it's kind of like
this back on then,
you can put that back on. I'd like you to. I'm just going to wait now until it comes back on so we can make sure. No, it's still dark. I mean, I'm not having this. No, it's not.
Why don't you hold your book up for the fourth time?
Oh, the football's on. I'm going to leave that one. I'm watching the football now.
My sister points out that Sister is a TV show. That's from the 90s. It was an excellent TV show. Sister that had twins in it. And I think they were like they'd grown up without knowing that each other existed until they were like teenagers and all that type of thing. But yeah, I think it's just a device in a book. I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those twists that we do see coming now as soon as we kind of have that in the back of our mind. I think that can go in. I think
you're right. No writer with any self-respect is going to write a book with twins in it anymore, are they?
What about you, though?
I don't agree anyway. I'm not going to put twins in room 101.
Whatever.
No. I disagree with you. I've got a really good friend who's a twin, so that's why.
I'm nothing against.
We're talking the literary device, Fiona.
I know, but I don't care.
All the twins.
I think you're offending every twin that ever lived. And
I did see in a Kent coastal town 2 weekends ago on the high street the spookiest thing I've ever seen. Imagine the twins from The Shining grown up. Ooh. It was two women in their late 40s, dressed identically, with identical hair, identical clothes, identical handbags, walking down the high street hand in hand. And I honestly,
you sure it wasn't a reflection in a mirror?
No, it wasn't. It was really spooky.
Guy who used to go like this.
Harry Worth.
So maybe that's the reason to keep them out of room 101, because twins can be really spooky.
They can be spooky.
You can use
one is always evil.
Yeah. One is well, two can be evil as well.
Twins of evil. The Hammer Horror. Twins of evil.
But two are never. Both of them are never.
Tweedledum and Tweedledeath. That's what I'm going to call my next book.
John Dixon says, "What about Willie Russell's Blood Brothers?" Again, I don't think it's using that as a device, is it? Though, no,
not as a criminal, not as an alibi thing.
There's a book called The Ice Twins by S.K. Tremaine, and I thought that was actually quite good. Yeah, so I think there's a reason not to go.
All right, okay.
There's an exception to every rule, I'm sure.
Joe Jakeman says she's scrapping her next book. Abby Anatade says, "Thank goodness Io and I never dress identically." And Judith Williams points out The Perfect Murder by Peter James play with triplets. And Colin Wood says, "Put twins in literary horror."
Hey, nothing.
I think that's going in because I've never liked. I
read that.
That's a full house, isn't it?
That's a full house.
Everything's gone in.
Right, so we're going to go on. We're probably going to go over. So anyway, we'll go with non-book related ones now, and I'm going to go back to the mug just because I like it and I like to put the Brookside mug up. So our first non-book related Room 101 pick is going to be from Abby.
Right, so I've already had an argument about this with my wife today. So I'm not sure where I go with it, but I want to put Michael Buble in Room 101, and this apparently is controversial. And I think this has been this is sort of creeping Christmas Sharia, is Michael Buble. You go back 10, 15 years, you hardly saw him. And then every year, earlier and earlier, it's Buble-mas. He'll be on every radio station. Firstly, it was just December. Now it's November. It'll be like if he was a singer or a pop star for the whole year, I could accept it, right? But he's not. He's a seasonal pop star, right? And I'm
not a fan, but I think that's not true.
Oh no, it is in my house. I don't hear him on the radio the rest of the year, right? And as for the holly jolly bullshit that he sings as well upsets me. But not just that. The problem is he takes away time from the classics like Noddy Holder and Shaking Stevens, the people who should be on at Christmas and are not getting a chance because of Buble. So yeah, I want to put Michael Buble in.
I mean, it's instantly in the comments. It's quite divided. Kia, who's just been on, says just long no.
He would say that. I think this is going to break down along sort of male and female lines.
I think Claire Allen will start a fight with you. She got to meet him after a concert, and it was the greatest moment of her life. So watch out for death threats.
My agent says, Buble, are we still on Twins? Does he have a double? Very good, Phil. Yeah, there's a few. I mean, my sister says I agree, Abby. I can't stand Michael Buble. Susie says he makes me feel sick. Mark, what do you think about Michael Buble?
Well, a character in my work in progress actually says you can't beat a bit of Buble.
Before they're
albeit him being played at a memorial service. But I draw your attention, look this up on YouTube when we finish, to his version of the theme from Spider-Man. Honestly, that's what first turned me on to Buble. None of your Christmas holly jolly nonsense. He does an absolute banging version of the theme from Spider-Man. Once you've heard that, you change your mind.
The words to the theme from Spider-Man. He's got
Spider-Man does whatever a spider. Check it out, honestly. Somebody do it now who's watching. Check out the theme from Spider-Man by Michael Buble.
Look, you could probably find it and share it if you were.
I'm going
to do it right now if I thought it was real and not.
No, do it. I'm not making this. I'm going to bloody do it if nobody else will. Come on, somebody find it.
As I'm finding it, Fiona, what do you think?
I think I am not particularly a fan of his music, but I think he seems like a nice man. And his kid was really ill, wasn't?
That's what my wife said. And
I'm just like, no, Abby, you can't put him in room 101 because of those reasons. So...
Okay, here we go. Got it.
I got it.
Yeah. I'm not sure you've got it. Do I play it?
Okay, you play it.
I'm just going to share it now. Oh my God.
Kind of creeping out the I went in his room 101.
Oh my God.
Oh, come on.
What?
You have no soul.
He's like that other idiot, Jamie Cullum. Right, they just take a good thing and fucking waste it. Why? Why do that?
You can't say Noddy Holder is better than him.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Noddy Holder's better than almost anybody.
That
Sure.
was like
Christmas.
In the comments, it's Phil says my ears. Susie says that's awful. John Dixon, ears are bleeding. I have to admit that it's not too bad. My sister, I'm more impressed with Mark's moves. Alice is a fan of your moves, Mark.
Hey, that doesn't mean I want any pictures of anything.
Can I just say that Mark Billings made my point for me here?
But I was simply questioning your assertion that it's all, in your words, holly jolly bullshit.
I've made my case. I stand by it.
Also, that video that you sent us, Callie, of him getting that kid on stage is very sweet. Did you send that? Was all about you, Fiona? Somebody sent, when we were talking about, on the chat a few days ago, there's an amazing video on YouTube of a really pushy mum at one of his concerts, literally pushing her son to the front of the stage and going, my son's a singer, in the middle of Buble's set, and he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, all right, get the kid up here. And then the kid can sing, and they have this amazing, and it's lovely.
Staged.
Lovely.
That was staged. I have no doubt that was staged.
Nothing in this.
No! Okay, are we going to vote? Are we going to vote on Buble?
I mean, like, is there anyone who wants to not put Buble into 101?
Because Claire Allen would never speak to me again.
Leave the Buble.
Oh, I get it. I get
Buble
it.
in. I'm with Abby. Buble in.
Callie says,
skin, isn't it?
no, Kia, sorry. Kia says it was me who sent that video, by the way. It was Kia.
Okay, thanks, Kia.
Buble and Billingham duet beckons.
With you on guitar.
That's a match made in heaven, I must
Is
say.
he going in, Luca? Come on, decide.
He's going in because I don't like him.
That's right.
Fair enough.
I mean, this is not a democracy anymore. I mean,
No.
an hour and a half ago.
No.
Next one is Callie, your non-book related.
Okay. Hopefully this one I won't have to fight too hard for because it's Slugs. Anybody who walked into the kitchen late at night, bare feet, and stood on a slug will know how grim an experience it is. And slugs have blighted my life this year. Not only did they attack my lockdown veg patch, and I tried everything to get rid of them apart from like the evil slug killer. So I had like beer traps, I had copper tape, I had all sorts of malarkey, and they kept eating my plants. And then at the end of sort of planting, I took all the plants down. I thought, okay, got rid of the slug problem, don't have to worry about that. Then the little sods came in my house and ate my dog's food. So they must die, basically. Sticking in Room 101.
Slugs are the most ridiculous animals going, I think. I don't know what purpose they serve. Does anyone know what the reason for them is? I can kind of work out like what other animals do, even stupid ones, but I've no idea what slugs are for. Mark, you've been on quiz shows. What are slugs for?
They solve mysteries. They solve mysteries in crime novels. Come on.
Twin slugs. You can't tell them apart.
Callie, two things. One, if you've got slugs, I think it means there's dampness somewhere. So, secondly, if you're using beer traps, I'm going to get caught in that one all the time. So, and I'll be quite happy.
Can I just tell you a story that this is why I don't think we should put slugs in, right? So this is my mum and dad, right, watching the TV, and they're watching something, and a guy says, "You slag," and my mum goes, "What is a slag?" And my dad goes, "Huh? You lived here 30 years, you don't know what slag is? It's those little creatures in the garden that come into your house." And we listen to going, "What's he talking about?" "Oh, he thinks it's a slug." So that's why I'm not going to put it in for that. Well, that's a family comedy for ethnic minorities.
Fiona, do you know what slugs are for?
No, I was just thinking about looking it up, but I think they must do something, mustn't they? They must do something.
And they ruined my life.
And their little trails they leave are all silvery and nice, aren't they?
No, not when you're on your mat and in your dog's bowl.
I don't know. I mean, having said that though, if dogs eat them, they're poisonous to them, aren't they? And in fact, dear God, didn't that guy eat one for a dare? Did you see that? Did you see that story? So there was this
I heard about it.
He ate a slug for a dare, and then he got some awful disease and he was paralyzed. So maybe slugs should.
Some might say that's winnowing out the chaff.
Darwinism is what you're going for.
Mark, that's too harsh. You can't say that.
I'm not the one trying to kill God's creatures just because I'm clumsy enough to step on them.
Callie, wasps apparently are your answer. According to Alison, wasps are the solution. So you get rid of the slugs in your house by allowing wasps in.
Oh, great! I just turned my house into some kind of disaster zone.
But then we know how this works. You then get a bird to sort the wasps, a cat to sort the, you know how it goes.
And the spider to catch the fly. Yeah.
Colin Sinclair says they are a food source for birds. No slugs, no song thrushes.
Oh.
Can't they eat something else?
So we're now putting song thrushes into Room 101, Callie. Is that what you want?
I'll put like bird food on the table for them.
As I said to the very same Colin Sinclair earlier today, those song thrushes live outside our window, and at 4 o'clock in a Scottish morning, they are singing their heads off.
Like Buble.
Like Buble, exactly.
Slugs are going in.
Also,
Slugs going in, Luca.
We've only got pigeons. There's no song thrushes for miles.
No, I'm the same. Pigeons and magpies are the only things that are around here.
Same here.
Right, that's going in, definitely. Susie Holiday points out that guy died. So we'll have a minute silence for that guy.
Okay. I'm sorry I made a big joke.
Yes, you're bringing it up.
I'm not. I am. I'm not.
Our next one, book
this,
related.
This could be even more controversial than Buble. The Archers. I don't really have to say more. Just the theme, just hearing that theme makes me feel a little bit jippy. I don't care about it. I don't give, and I wouldn't mind if it was remotely good. But you listen for 15 minutes, and then you know there's 14 and a half minutes gone. Or there'll be a big dramatic finish in a minute, and they're at the fete, and it's like, oh, Daphne, is that damson jam or is it raspberry? Neither. It's plum. Yeah, da 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 da. And you think, well, there's 15 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. No, happily. It's only on because it's, an institution. It's a great British institution that's been around.
Well, wait a minute, though. If it wasn't for Dan's grandson, Joffre, then England would never have won the International World Cup, would they?
Joffre, I'll let you explain that, Craig, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Look, help me here. You know what I'm talking about. Joffre Archer.
It's like blank faces all round. We're like, no.
Oh God! Yes, I get you.
We'll edit this out before it goes out.
Right.
Philistines, a lot of you, seriously.
I just can't be doing with it.
I've never listened to the Archers ever. I've not heard 1 second of it. I only know the theme tune because I've heard other people doing the theme tune. I've never listened to a second of it. It's just one of those shows where I thought, well, that's definitely not for me. I mean, it was, if it's still on, and it's shit, how is that still on? And a venerable broadcast
and Brookside
isn't. I mean, there's no justice. Fiona, are you an Archers listener?
I did listen to it a long time ago, but it was too dull. No, I don't listen to it anymore. I'm totally with Mark. In fact, I accidentally listened to it the other day and I turned it off.
Abby.
No. You see, I'm getting fed up on this program of white people dissing Britain and British culture. You come here, right, on the holiest day in the British calendar, and you want to get rid of Britain, you want to get rid of the Archers. No, I'm not having it. Forget it. No. Some of us have to stand up for what is right and decent, and no.
And tea, they wanted to throw tea off.
What nest? Tea, exactly. Whoever thought that Ruth Ware would be a beverage Nazi?
I know.
I've had enough. I draw the line here and this far and no further.
What's the Archers feedback in the comments, Luca?
So in the comments, go the Archers in room 101. So boring. Yes, yay. I hate the idea of the Archers. No one actually likes the Archers. And then a few people just asking what Craig was going on about. And Colin said he was tired.
Craig.
Colin saying he who is tired of the Archers is tired of life. Doug Johnson pointing out the Archers wouldn't exist if Britain was abolished. Like I said, get in the bin. Mary says Billingham, not even Mark at this point. Billingham is completely wrong. I have been listening for over 40 years. Susie saying, I've never listened to it. Susie, it's not for people like us. I think that's what it is. It's sort of
my friend. I mean, the reason I have listened to the odd program is that my friend is in it. A friend of mine plays Kenton Archer. For anybody that
Mark, they're not your friend anymore.
No. Okay, no, that's true. I've not thought this through, have I?
He's out of a job now. It's like,
Carly, what's your last word on this?
I've never listened to it. I think Veronica Henry used to write for it. So on behalf of writers who write the Archers and the people who've listened for years and years, I say don't put it in.
On behalf of writers? Can I just point out, Callie, that some writer wrote the words, a twist you won't see coming?
No, that was a marketing person.
They don't
They're not creative. They're not creatives.
I mean, like, this just shows you the background I come from. My sister Alice has just commented saying, never heard of it.
Fair enough. Let's just put Buble doing Spider-Man on again.
I think it's quite overwhelming. It's going in. I don't know who's listening to it still.
I don't want to end. I'm voting to save it. Not that anybody bothered asking me, but I'm voting to save it.
Yeah.
On the basis that I've never listened to it, never will. it's like religion. If other people want to do it, as long as they don't shove it in my face, then it's fine. They can have it.
Good argument.
Oh, well, see, now you're swaying me now.
I could be wrong about this, but I have a feeling that Val is a massive Archers fan. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Val, but I had a feeling. I remember thinking, oh God, don't let Val be on the same panel as me because it's going to kick off if I diss the Archers. I could be wrong, but somebody we know is a massive fan of it.
Well, I mean, like just for that, then I'm definitely not putting it in because.
Of course not. Of course not.
No.
Okay.
That was my road mum, and I do as she says. So if I like, so it's staying out for now. It's on, you know, like it's on, like what's it called? Probation. It's a probation period. We've got 2 left in here, I think. Let's go with this one. Fiona.
So this one might be slightly controversial as well, and apologies if I offend anyone who's watching. But my absolute pet hate is that infantilizing slang where people say they are taking their small doggo for a walk with the family during the fucking hollybobs, right? You're fucking dead to me, right? Don't speak to me like that. They're not proper words. And did you know, right, that there's a whole way of speaking called dogger lingo, right? Doggo, not dogger. Sorry.
I was going to say, that's a very different thing. That's a very different
That
thing.
probably exists as well.
Yeah, there is. There is lingo.
Cloud.
How do you know, Mark?
Like,
I put it in a book.
No, right. Don't
what you know.
use it with me. So I did some in my scientific research that I did. Small, okay, apparently started to come into parlance around 2015, and it was used to describe the lead singer of 21 Pilots or something, who his fans called him a small bean, right? He is a fucking man, right? He's not small. A child is small. Anyway, it makes me really ragey, as you can probably tell, along with hun, right? Imma. And to give it some kind of context, when I was about 15, I got a Valentine's card from this lad, my boyfriend actually, and he signed it love, L-U-V, yeah, Y-A. I had to dump him. Only use proper words with me, thanks. That's my case. He needs to go.
Craig, have you missed going on your hollybobs this year?
Well, I have missed taking vacations to foreign parks, but yeah, no, I would agree with Fiona. My least favourite word, I think, probably is crimble.
Oh.
I hate the word crimble. It's become a thing. I absolutely hate it.
Like Buble.
Yeah, but he's to blame for most things. The Savo for this afternoon, which is from, I think came from Australia and Neighbours. Yeah, no time for that. Actually, my pet hate is the European Football Championships just becoming the Euros. It shouldn't annoy me as much as it does, but it really.
Do you get confused with the currency now, Craig? Is that the problem?
No, because sadly we're not going to get to use that. If only we could. Yeah, no, I agree. Infantile words, bin them.
And Cater says fair babies. Is that on the list as well? Because it's on my fucking list.
Rainbow Bridge.
Oh, for
Rainbow Bridge. Yeah. Dogs dying going over the Rainbow Bridge. I'm sorry if you've lost a pet. I've lost pets, but I really hate that analogy.
They're not going over the Rainbow Bridge. They're going in the bottom corner of the garden.
No, they're going in a skip, to be honest.
No!
You've got a big dog. That's quite a lot of effort. That's why I've got sausage dogs.
Carly, what do you think about this?
They die.
I'm moving on.
Into the head, Mark.
Carly, what do you think?
Yeah, I find it really irritating, and you're not going to find any literary crime writers putting hollybobs or hubby in their books, are you? And you know, after what Mark said, I'm aspiring to be a literary crime author now. So I wear a hat. So,
see, they won't be putting it in at the moment. They'll put it in 20 years when no one's using those words anymore to try and look like they're down with the kids and they know what parlance working class people use. That's when they'll
ironically.
20 years later, when like some literary authors do now. Abia, what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like the infantilization of the language at all. But I think that the example that was given, Fiona, I'm really interested about this Valentine's Day card. Did you really dump the guy?
Actually, yeah.
That's brilliant. My sister did that.
I think I must have been quite a pedant. Well, I still am a little bit, and it was just the latest in a line of things, I guess. But it was the final nail because he couldn't spell properly, in my view.
Well, Fiona, you haven't seen.
I can put up with that. I can live with that. I'm happy with that.
You haven't seen him, Fiona, in 10 years, but we've. Mark, you have the last word on this one.
It's the infantilization that's not. I've not actually got a problem with shortening words because I think that's just a kind of evolution of text speak becoming, passing into the language and all that stuff, and people going lol and or whatever it is.
I don't like that.
But how? I don't quite get the point in shortening the word small to small. How much fucking time are you saving there? It's taking one letter out as far as I can see. Yeah, I've been in it to room 101. Get rid into room 101, Luzzum.
A lot of people in the comments are agreeing. Craig, where are you going on your Crimbo hollybobs? Anne says, if your kid has fear, there's something terribly wrong. Colin says, straight in. John Dixon says, I call it Xmas.
What?
Kay Miller says, I've never heard this language. She's an American, I think. And I blame you all for bringing it to my attention.
You can only apologise.
Yeah, but at least we can pronounce herb correctly. So swings and roundabouts.
And my dad says, does that mean Slade have to go in cause I love you?
No.
Every rule.
No.
Does that change anyone's opinion? No, it doesn't. Slade is still going in.
No, Slade aren't going in.
Okay, but don't forget the speech marks. It's going in. Infantilization of speech. We have our last one now from the morgue.
It's going to be you, I'm guessing.
No, it's Craig. I haven't got any picks.
Oh, you've got nothing?
No, I like everything.
You're singing at the end.
Yeah,
you got to sing, and then we put you in room 101.
This one won't be, I don't think this will be controversial at all. My choice is the actor Tom Selleck. No, I'll explain. Now, mostly, in case that anyone's in any doubt, is the actor who used to play Magnum PI, So I started to have a problem with him when he appeared in Friends and was shagging Monica. Far too old for her, and anyway, some of us should have been there first. But my real problem with Tom Selleck, anyone who's been watching a lot of CNN over the last couple of weeks, which I'm sure a lot of us have, I've been watching wall-to-wall CNN during the American election, and Tom Selleck has an advert that's on there all the time. If you watch it on the streaming, you might not see it, but if you watch the actual thing, he sells reverse mortgages to old people. So he sits there and he tries to smile as much as his plastic surgery allows him to do, and he tells you people over 62 why they should give up the house that they paid for in order to get a bit of cash currently. And he says there, and he looks really sweetly and says, he laughs, reverse mortgage is not a way to take your house away from you. Yes, it fucking is, Tom. It fucking is, and you fucking know it is. You are a crook. You're trying to take my granny's house away from us, and she's dead, so don't fucking try that piss. It's criminal, and I've looked it up. He's worth $45 million, and he's still doing this for a bit of extra cash. It's a rip-off. Nobody do it. He's trying to, if anybody thinks, okay, I've not seen this, so I'm not bothered enough to put it in, he's trying to take your granny's house away. And the worst part of that is your granny will then not be able to leave the house to you. There you go.
There's a twist I didn't see coming.
I'm glad I've got that off my chest.
I think
Tom Selleck's libel lawyers might be on the phone in a minute.
I've got nothing. You can't get it from me.
You sold your house for the reverse mortgage.
I might have to if Tom Selleck comes on.
How can any of us argue with? I think that's the first one where there's been the finger, the big pointy finger. I'm not going to argue with Craig's pointy finger.
Is anyone willing to argue? Is anyone willing to argue?
No, I must say it's the first time I've been convinced halfway through an argument to change my mind. I thought at the beginning it was just because the Monica whole thing, and we know Craig's fascination with Monica. But as he went on, no, I got convinced. Yeah, I think I see. Yeah.
I was just going to say his moustache. That's his only redeeming feature, isn't it?
He's still got the same moustache you had.
That's the use for slugs. Tom Selleck's moustache.
We've got some support coming in already, and someone just asking, isn't he dead yet?
Yeah.
And someone who points out the fact that he was nearly Indiana Jones, but he turned the role down. Isn't that's
That's all you need to know.
Colin saying, I'm too scared to argue with the finger.
Yeah.
Marie Black saying, stick him in. How can that be argued with? Binham from Karen. Susie saying he's doing it for exposure.
and $200,000 an ad.
I've never really understood the point of Tom Selleck. I never watched anything he was in other than Friends, and I didn't buy that. It just seemed weird. That whole storyline was one of the weirder ones from Friends, and there were some fucking weird ones in Friends.
Well, the one where she got off with Craig was even worse. Do you remember that one?
But a simple yes or no, should it go in room 101? Callie, yes or no?
Yes.
Abir?
Yes.
Fiona?
Yeah.
Mark?
Oh, yes.
We're going to end on that hugely disappointing moment for Tom Selleck as he goes into room 101. And that's it. We're going to finish up. Thank you, everyone, for who's come along.
Well, wait a minute.
No.
I think there's something you've forgotten.
What's over your shop? What's that behind you?
I don't.
Oh, just
not no
this thing.
Come on.
Luca, come on. My mate Paddy has stayed awake.
We've missed it. We've missed it so much.
I've got one thing to put in room 101, and that's being forced to play Britney, because
Come on.
This is my confession. I'm not a big Britney fan.
We'll all buy your books.
Luca.
Just what? Here we go.
Let me just see if it's in tune. It is.
Close enough for jazz.
Let me just wet the
It's either this or Spider-Man.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? Something wasn't right here. Oh, pretty baby, I shouldn't have let you go. Now you're out of sight here. Show me how you want it to be. Tell me, baby, cause I need to know now. Because my
loneliness
is killing me, and I must confess.
Here we go.
You believe, when I'm not with you, I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time.
I'm filling up here.
The only thing I would put in room 101 is all this bollocks that's happened in the last year, because one of the biggest things that I've missed in the past 8 months has been catching up with amazing writers and friends doing this kind of stupid stuff and seeing people in the audience reacting to it and laughing, because that's what I got into doing all these events to do, was to entertain, because I'm a massive show off, and that has been the biggest loss of this year for me. And I'd like to thank everyone who's been on tonight, who have given us a couple of hours of that kind of feeling of being part of something, and hopefully not too distant future we'll all be back together in the flesh, where we can do this kind of thing.
Amen to that, brother.
Callie has come up with a brilliant idea for what I want to do next year. It's happening. I'm not going to tell you what. I'm not going to tell anyone what it is, but it's fucking happening.
I'm so excited.
Wait till you know it. But that's hopefully going to be the case. It comes back next year. Thank you everyone who came along and watched. You'll be able to catch up. It's going to be on YouTube, so if you want to share it and stuff like that. But it just leaves me to say thank you to Mark, Fiona, Abir, Callie, and Craig. Do you want to say a few words, because this is your channel?
Oh no, I have no words except what he said. Absolutely right. Really miss seeing everybody. Next year's got to be better, right? We'll all be out there. Thanks everybody for watching. Love you all.
Oh.
Yeah.